Hello and welcome to our first kill of the boss Atramedes, which is found in Blackwing Decent. This boss, as you can see, is more about survival than damage, since he does not have an actual enrage timer. If you look right there in front of us, we have a lot of discs coming towards our way. Our goal is to avoid those discs, because if we get hit by those discs, we will increase our sound bar. And when a person's sound bar hits 100, that player will die. The disc will spawn beneath Atramedes and will target one random player. They linger there for just about 1 second, and as they have targeted their player, they will go towards that player. What the raid have to do is avoid those discs. Once they have targeted a player, they will continue in that direction and never switch, so it's quite easy to avoid. You can see that right before I wrap to the right and back to our starting position. As you can see on my boss mod timer, Atramedes is about to cast a spell named Sonic Breath. It will target a raid member and follow that raid member around. The speed at which Atramedes is turning is increased by the amount of sound the targeted raid member have. We chose to have the targeted member run left, while the rest of the raid group should go slightly to the right to then return to their original position. About 30 seconds into the fight, Atramedes will start casting a spell called Searing Flames. This will have to be interrupted immediately by a selected raid member, who will stand out in one of the 10 gongs placed evenly around the room at the sides. Once the player hits the gong, Atramedes will be stunned and he will stop casting. As you can see, Atramedes has just entered his air phase. About 5 seconds before this happens, the rage starts spreading out through the room, while keeping to the sides of the room. Please note to avoid the center, as we would like to avoid having flames in the center for the ground phase. During the air phase, discs will spawn and disappear at random positions, and it's important that you keep moving during the entire air phase to get the least amount of sound possible. As you can see, Atramedes just landed again, and now we will try as much as we can to return to our original positions. It is quite important that you don't run through the flames, as they will increase your sound level. As you can see, I was behind the flames, so I just tried to stand behind here, still inside the healing range, so if I get targeted by the Sonic Breath, I will be able to move to the left without taking too much fire damage. After some time, the flames will despawn and you'll be able to return to your original position. So until the next air phase, it's just a repetition of phase 1. As you just noted, Atramedes did an ability that looks like a big sound disc. This is called Sound Pulse. Sound Pulse is unavoidable and will give the entire raid some damage and increase their sound slightly. What happened here is that we had a player using his rocket belt and it blew up. Actually, the player survived and all the raid members moved, so none of us actually died doing that. As we now enter the second air phase of this boss encounter, you will note that I will be targeted first by his ability. This means that I am the one with the highest sound, so I must have done something wrong. Or that everyone in general is low on sound and I am just the highest. What I am doing now is kiting the beam in the outer ring of the room to avoid having fire in the center of the room. As you can see, the beam stopped chasing me. This is because another player hit the gong during the air phase. Atramedes will immediately direct his beam towards that gong for then to attack the player who hit the gong. And as you can see, since I kited Atramedes' beam for a long time, he already enters his third ground phase. It is a good idea to have one player selected to kite Atramedes' beam after hitting the gong. We chose me, Nitric, a mage. I do have the ability to blink, which makes it a lot easier escaping his beam. I need to wait till it's about to hit me, then use blink and kite it for even longer. As you can see, this time Atramedes did not target me first. So when I note that the player getting targeted by Atramedes is about to get hit with the fire beam, I will be ready to click the gong. When I click the gong, he instantly targets me, and I'll have to run to avoid his beam. Luckily I do have blink, but there's a very tight situation here, so I just try to squeeze myself in. As you saw here, a priest pulled me in with Leap of Faith. This is a very good idea, since it can increase the time you can kite the beam without having to switch target. If you noted what I said in the beginning, well, when a player is targeted by Sonic Breath, we will have him moving left and the raid moving right. This is not always the optimal case. As you saw here, most of our raid died because one player who stood to the right of the raid selected to run through the raid with his tracking. If you stand out of position, the best thing you can do is just think, should I move left and burn the raid, or should I move right and tell the raid that I'm moving right? So have your raiders be aware of that, and never be afraid of telling important information over the ventrilo or whatever chat you're using. As you can see, this one thing killed about half the raid, but since he does not have an enrage timer, it doesn't really matter, because as long as the players that's alive can keep the rest of the players alive and tank alive, we are able to down Atramedes, as you will see shortly. And that was it, our first kill of the boss Atramedes. A bit messy as it were, but at least it was a kill. I'm sure we'll get it better in the future attempts. Thanks for listening, and I hope this will improve your rating of the boss Atramedes.